Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're actually here at the LeMay Car Museum here in Tacoma, Washington to check out a very interesting Acura Integra. Before we go check it out, I want to give a special thank you and shout out to Walter, who's the curator here at LeMay, who made this all possible. So let's go and check it out. Thanks for having us out here at the LeMay Car Museum. We're here to showcase.
This is my 96 GSR. The placard pretty much summarizes everything. So
He's got his own plaque at the museum.
Shout out to Amy. She's one that makes all the plaques here.
Okay.
At the LeMay. Acquired in 97 at Hinshaw's Acura Fife.
So this has been local here its whole life.
Right.
And you've pretty much owned it since it's only been, what, a year old? Less than a year old?
Less than a year old.
Less than a year old, so it's basically brand new. How many miles were on this thing when you got it?
Actually, I had pretty high mileage. It was about 18,000 miles.
Okay, so the previous owner drove it quite a bit.
A lot.
But I mean, as I think most of these cars are kind of intended for, right? It's the fun, daily drivable.
Yeah, it wasn't sought off to be like a collector at that time, right? It was fun, economical to drive, so it was like a fun commuter car.
So take us back to 97. Like, we know what this car is or what it
Yes.
means in the culture today.
Right.
But back then, 97, when it was brand new, when there was pretty much, you can prove me wrong, but there wasn't much like this. The affordable, economical sports car was still, I mean, aside from like the Z's and stuff like that, was relatively sort of new. And like the JDM scene was still like, I would say, in infancy in the United States.
Right.
At least like.
Definitely. It was definitely in its infancy stages of the whole import scene before Fast and Furious kind of shine more light onto the culture and scene. There wasn't really many options. So we had the GSR, which I was looking at and purchasing, and then we had the Eclipses, which is a GSX. I was looking at the GSX model, so it was kind of like one of the two. And my dad was more influenced on what I wanted to go towards. He was like, he likes NA, so we ended up with the GSR, which is the 1.8.
I actually took a chance to read your Honda tuning article, and in the article you mentioned that your father had something to do with rally racing.
Right, in the Philippines.
Yeah, so like, did that have an impact on JDM culture at all for you, or was it kind of something you brought in?
For sure, because I was looking at all these parts, and they were like, don't get me wrong, they're from America, right, the United States, and it's like, you should look into the Japanese parts because they're more catered.
So he was into the JDM before it was cool.
Well, it was, I guess it was, that's what was available, right?
Yeah.
So in the Philippines, it would just come from Japan, and that's what he knew, and then he was like influencing that on to me. So I was like, all right. So I started looking at the parts, and it was like Spoon, Mugen, Greddy, HKS.
It's been through quite a phases, and we'll kind of touch back on that later on.
Right.
But let's do like a little walk around of what we're looking at here.
Obviously, this was not the original front end. It was an added 95 Type R front end from Japan.
Okay. So this is the OEM Type R JDM bumper then?
OEM JDM front bumper, Buddy Club, carbon fiber hood, Spoon Sports carbon lip. I forgot what the mirrors are. I think it was before it was Spoon, but they were Vision carbon fiber mirrors.
I never really see this hood on these cars.
Yeah. So
at least like not in person. I've seen like a few of these like in pictures and stuff like that, aside from like your car.
It's very similar to C West. So in 97, the 97 Type R came out, right? So I was like, all right, what are the differences? Shaved side moldings, right? So I opted to get the moldings shaved so it could be my own version of a Type R, right? And at that time, when we were shaving and everything, Wild Colors was out. Like, you know, Hot Import Nights was hot at the time. So extreme colors, bright, vibrant, and you know, I wasn't really into that kind of stuff. So I said, what kind of modifications or changes that I can do to the paint? And we added a lavender pearl into the clear.
Okay.
So when the light hits it, you could kind of see a purple haze. I think you might be able to catch it there.
I wasn't sure if it was just my eyes or like the lights or something.
Yeah, no, your eyes aren't deceiving you. It is correct.
Wow.
And another aspect, I kind of wanted to go with a clean shave look, or you know, just less is more kind of type thing.
100%.
So there's no keyholes, right? So I use that from a four-door, the rears.
Where's the keyhole originally? Like,
right there.
Oh, inside like the thing. Okay.
There would be a key insert there, and then took it back some more, and then I was looking at the body more, and then there was like the antenna, right? The antenna would be kind of just sticking out there. So I was like, let's cleaned that up a little bit. And Millen Auto Body in Redmond did a French antenna, which is more of a hot rod thing. That was in the early 50s, 60s.
So the antenna is still
It's still
functions.
there, functional. It's just sunken in, and then it just kind of makes the body look.
Does it move up and down?
It goes up and down whenever I need to listen to the radio. Updated the rear bumper in year 98. They updated the rear bumper, so I wanted to update it a little bit. So
is this a US spec bumper or?
it is a US spec bumper.
Okay.
And then they shaved the Integra emblem out of the.
Oh, where it's like kind of indented in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to go in with the clean and shaved look, right? Initially, I didn't have the trunk and the carbon stuff. That came in later, as I wanted to modify it and update things.
Yeah. So tell me about these wheels, though. I know they're more common on like different types of vehicles.
Nissan, Toyota, right?
Yeah, not much on the Hondas. So tell us about those wheels.
I've always loved the tri-spoke split. Funny story is my wife was having a family reunion out in Kansas City, Missouri side.
Okay.
And I was like, phew, let's see what they got out there. And these popped up on the Facebook market feed.
So is this like refinished?
No.
Like, is this original?
Original.
With the stickers and everything?
With the stickers and everything. And wheels and tires and package and everything. And yeah, it was close to perfect.
Wow. So what size are these wheels?
These are 17, 7.5, 35 offset.
And is that the typical sizing for these cars? Or?
For these cars, yeah, they could range between 30, 48.
But typically 17s?
17s not really these days. For me, yes, because stock is 15. And then like for me, if you upgrade, you have to be like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And the 18 Extreme. At one point, these had 18s on there. But I think 17 looks good on the car, especially if you have a kit of some sort.
So did you say those the side, like who makes that, the side
So
skirt?
that is an inspired look from the Mugen kit.
Okay.
And Wings West made those in the early 90s.
I love this era styling, you know, for like body kits and stuff like that. They all kind of have like a bubbly, bulkier look.
Very period correct, right?
Yeah.
Currently, I just went with a Type R interior. Being it a GSR, I wanted everything to be a Type R as much as possible. So anything that I could think of that was Type R, I got the parts and sourced it to be a Type R. Probably the only thing that's missing out of the interior is the climate vents and the radio.
So is there still AC in this car?
There's AC in the car, yeah. That's one of the nice things I like.
And that's one of the things you actually mentioned back in the day too, is you wanted to keep those.
All the functions, all about function over form also.
I feel like this is very still period correct too.
Right.
With the rest of the car.
It is very period correct. The J's Racing Password JDM style whale penis carbon intake didn't come out till late, but it was like in the 2000s, I believe. The Type 1 header. I try to keep everything close to period correct or an update of what is available. The motor is pretty much untouched except the head. June Racing titanium valve springs and retainers, Type R cams. Type 1 header goes out to a custom B-pipe, or I guess so. There's no cat, so there's a free flow cat.
Okay.
And it goes out to a Mugen exhaust.
Is this still stock ECU or?
Yeah, actually it is. When I did the drag racing, I had the Type R ECU from Japan.
Okay.
But I learned that it has a governor, so it wouldn't let me go past certain speeds. So if you look into the engine bay, you could kind of see different parts that are from the era. So like, you know, the MSD ignition.
That was the very first thing I noticed.
Everyone's like, what is that? That was big in the drag racing scene in early to late 90s.
So what exactly does it do?
It creates a hotter spark.
And this is the Type R strut bar, or?
Yep, tower bar. So yeah, I just went in and tried to change everything that was Type R, kept it Type R, so it was a Type R valve cover, obviously.
It's like a very OEM plus, but with your own touch to it. It's not just the regular GSR, it's not just the regular Type R, which those things are great too, but like you have your own touches.
They asked, they're like, is this a real Type R? And then when they look further, they're like, oh, this is a GSR.
And now coming back to that conversation we had earlier, the phases and the stages that this car went through. From what I read, it started as mostly just like American parts. And then after the influence from your father, you know, it kind of progressed more towards that like JDM style.
Right.
So like, it's kind of cool that, I mean, not only have you had this car basically brand new, it's been through the stages of your like car taste, your style. It's a constantly adapting vehicle with you in your life, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it gives it like a story, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like the way this car looked in, let's just say like '06, you know, is not the way it looks today.
Right.
You know, like with different parts.
'06, it had 18-inch wheels.
So like I think that's pretty cool, like the story that it has. You know, it's very much your car. Especially with these, it's kind of getting harder and harder to find people that's pretty much had it.
Or even see them on the road. Early 2000s, you would see these out. Dime a dozen, right? And now harder and harder to see. And when you do see them, you kind of appreciate them more.
So a lot of people, like you said, this is kind of like a throwaway car. And for it to be valuable to you from the beginning and still maintaining that space in your life, I think is like pretty great. That's something one day it's gonna be like me and my Z. It's gonna go through its stages. It's gonna adapt as I adapt, you know, go through life.
You're gonna
and stuff
fall
like
out
that.
of love with it and then change it and fall in love
but
with it.
But it's never
all over
something
again.
you quite let go.
Right.
You know, just because you just can't do it.
You should check out Pursuit of Function too. Me and my brother are featured in that. It's a docu-series.
So it's a little bit more recent then maybe?
No, it's early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the same time as the articles pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all those articles and videos and features and everything was right around the early 2000s. So I took a little decade and a half hiatus of talking about my car. So I also want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk
and again,
about
thanks for having us out here after Christmas too, and to be, you know, inside of an exhibit too. It's kind of cool. Tell us a little bit about the brakes.
Wheelwood 4-pot calipers with Brembo rotors. I just needed something simple for the track. It did the trick at the time, but now I want more grabbing power. So I'm looking at upgrading. Plus with the wheel, it looks small. It looks like it's like...
So those brakes were from the 18s?
These brakes were with the 18s still.
Okay, so they probably looked even smaller with the 18s.
Yeah, but I had the mesh face, so it
covers it a little bit. Okay.
But when I do have my race setup with the RG2s, it looks fine. So gauges were originally installed at Acura 5.
Like a dealer option.
They gave me, yeah.
Okay, like when you bought this car.
Right.
So this was from the lot at the Acura dealership.
Yep, Hinshaw Acura 5. I think it was still considered brand new, but it still had tons of mileage. But the mileage eventually caught up to itself, and it only has 70. I don't know.
That's still very low.
Yeah, 70.
That's still very low.
78,000.
Yeah, still very low. I think it's important to kind of enjoy it, but like I like that you still kind of have it preserved as well. Oh, let's talk about the rear cage here.
I could probably pop that up. So So the cage is a Godspeed.
Will you consider like a half cage or like a harness bar type of thing?
Harness bar? No, it's just a C-pillar rear tower combo.
But I like how it still retains sort of your back seat. You just gotta move your head up a little bit. But like you still have that space.
You're right.
And the trunk as well. I mean, you have literally the subs back here. You have the functionality of it being a track car because you do track it.
Yep.
But you also have
I can remove it out.
The street part too.
Yep, exactly.
So, and I think that's so important. A lot of people, when they build cars, it's purely just for one purpose. You know, if it's a track car, they take the AC out, no back seat, no nothing.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like to really enjoy a car like long term, like you have, it has to be something that's adaptable, something you can take out to the track, but the next day you can take your kids to school in.
That was like one thing I was thinking of, like stripping it out because I was doing time trials at the Ridge, right? So I went to Japan, went to visit Star Road in Japan.
Okay.
Sochi, and we're kind of having a conversation, and he goes, nah, just leave it in there. And I go, that's what I do to my cars. And I go, so you take your cars to the track, but you're full interior.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, I'll do that too. So I kind of take a page out of Star Road in Japan, run the full interior. And it's comfortable too, and not as a tin canny.
Yeah,
So.
it's still got sort of like some insulation going on. Well, that's pretty much everything. And again, the stories that this car has, it's very unique. It's part of the build. You know, not just the physical parts, the physical stuff on it, the way it looks, but also I think the story. I think a lot of the younger people can kind of learn from. It's not just throwing money at it, especially with like these YouTubers nowadays. They go from like stock to fully, you know, SEMA build in like 2 weeks, and then they sell it after. I feel like this whole generation sees a build as something you just throw a lot of money at once, you know, for like an event or something. If you want to kind of truly understand the culture, you have to understand stuff like this,
Right.
where, you know, it has the story. It's not just a one-time build, but it's quite literally a lifetime build.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool. And again, adds to the build, part of the build.
Thank you.
So, but thanks for sharing us, your car and your stories.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah, and for being out in LeMay too,
Yeah.
after Christmas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm pretty sure this isn't the last time we'll see this car in the video. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching.